Good morning, everyone. Jill here with North Texas Vegetable Gardening, canning recipes, a little bit of everything. And if you've ever been to Texas or you live in Texas, you know that salsa is a table staple for us. I'm going to show you an idea on how to make some quick salsa, fresh, or you can use canned. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a hack here to where you can make probably about 5 to 6 pints. Let's talk about what you need. So you're going to need about 6 pounds of your ripened tomatoes. I know there's some in here that has a little bit to go, but I'm going to go ahead and use them. I think that the rest of them will offset it. Or 6 cans of diced tomatoes. So while we're washing up our 6 pounds of tomatoes, I have got my jars in the dishwasher sterilizing and getting cleaned up. So we're going to have to blanch our fresh tomatoes. If you're using canned, you're going to bypass a lot of this, but we love our fresh tomatoes in our salsa. And you know, guys, there's a lot of people that are backyard gardeners that may not grow all the ingredients they need to make a full-on salsa. So what we're fixing to show you is going to be a great recipe for you to use up an abundance of your tomatoes and just enjoy some fresh salsa. So let's go ahead and get our water pot to boiling. I have my bowl here of ice water that we're going to use to blanch, and then I have my pan here that we are going to use to make our salsa in. Now, you do not want to use an aluminum pan because it will react, so be sure and use a stainless steel or some other pan, but do not use an aluminum pan. So if you don't feel like you can eat about 5 or 6 pints of salsa in a week, you're going to want to go ahead and prepare your hot water bath canner, or this recipe will allow you to put in a covered container and freeze for up to a year. If you're just going to put it in your refrigerator, it's going to last about a week, but if you can, it's going to last you a little bit longer. Once you get started on the blanching process, it's not very much longer that you're going to start cooking down and making your salsa. So the blanching process is pretty easy, guys. You just take your fresh tomatoes after you've washed them and you just put them in some boiling water for a couple of minutes until you start to see the skin split. And then you're going to pop them in this ice cold water over here to cool them down. So let's get all these babies in there. Try to keep them uniform when you're putting them in so that you can pull them out all at the same time. If not, don't worry about it, because you'll know when they start splitting that they're ready to go. So we have a mixture of tomatoes here. We have the Romas, which are great sauce making tomatoes, the black creme, which is what I've been using. They have started to peter out a little bit, and then I have some Perons in there. So I can see some of them starting to split. I'm just going to take it out and put it in my cold water bath over here. The more ripe your tomatoes are, the quicker they're going to split, but it's very important that you wait for them to split, because that's what's going to allow you to get the skin off and to core them so that you just have the good meat of your tomato. So now it's time to core, and you're going to want a separate bowl to put your core and your skins in. And looky there, see how easy that came off? Put it in your pan that you're going to use to cook it in. Alrighty then, you can see here are all my cores and my peels. I will tell you that many of these Roma tomatoes I did not have to core. That's another great thing about Romas, is they have very little cores to them, and that's what makes them such a great salsa or sauce tomato. And now I'm going to use my handy dandy mashing tool that my mother-in-law bought us. She's our #1 fan on our channel, and she knows that we're always doing cooking, and this is a fantastic tool for mincing up, chopping up your tomatoes. You can also puree it briefly, or you can just use maybe a potato masher And you want to get this chopped up as much as possible. This keeps you from having to individually chop up with a knife. So let's get this worked in. So you can make this as chunky or as non-chunky as you want, but now for my secret ingredient. It's a half a cup of 5% white vinegar, and ta-da! Mrs. Wages creates salsa tomato mix, and this is medium. You can get mild and you can get hot. Sorry guys, I had to go cut it. My hands just don't work from about 30 years of typing. I don't have the grip I used to. All right, so now we're gonna mix this all in together. It already smells absolutely delicious. And we're gonna put this on the stove and we're going to bring it up to a boil, and then we are going to simmer it for 10 minutes. So it's come up to a boil pretty quick. We're gonna turn this down on low and we are gonna simmer this for 10 minutes. It's been about 6 minutes, guys. You can see that those a little underripe tomatoes have blended in just fine because we had a lot of great ripe ones in there. So we got about another 4 minutes to go here, and then we'll start canning it up. So the timer's gone off, guys. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat, and we're going to start filling our jars. Again, these are washed and they are sterilized. And you want to fill it to leave about an inch head space, which is right to the first rung of your top, your screw top. So just as suspected, guys, we got 5 pints and a little bit for my husband to taste, which you just saw him do. So now it's time to go ahead and put in our hot water bath. Now you want to tighten your lids. Be sure to inspect the rings of your jars. Put new lids. Do not reuse your lids. Put your bands on. You want them a little bit more than finger tight since you're not pressure canning. And we're going to put these in the hot water bath for 40 minutes. Now we're able to put them in the hot water bath directly because it had hot liquid in there. I'm setting my timer for 40 minutes. We're going to let these get to cooking here. After 40 minutes, we're going to bring them out. We're going to let them sit out for about 24 hours, and then we'll label them, and they will turn out just like this. So while our salsa is in the hot water bath for about 40 minutes, I want to give you a caveat. I did notice that some of the Roma tomatoes did not split, so I left them in there for about 3 minutes. You really don't want to do it much longer than that because they will start to get runny in the skin, so be sure and monitor that. And if you don't see the skin splitting, do it about 3 minutes, pop it in your cold water. Now let's talk about the cost of this. Let's talk about how much this cost us. So we got 5 pints of salsa for about $1.25 to $1.75. This all depends on the route you go. If you're using your fresh tomatoes, of course it's going to be cheaper. If you're using the canned tomatoes, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But any route that you go to get some fresh salsa, really delicious salsa, for $1.25 or $1.75 to give away as gifts, because I'm telling you, your family and friends will absolutely love receiving a jar of your salsa. So it's really an economical way to go, and if you're watching your money like we are, that's the route you want to try to go. All kinds of little hacks that we have here. I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoy getting your comments and seeing what's going on with your gardens and stuff like that. We appreciate each and every one of you. So this is going to be ready in about 40 minutes. We'll pop it out. We'll let it cool for about, you want to let your jars cool for about 24 hours before you even begin to touch them. And then you'll take your rings off and or your bands off, and you will just leave it, leave the lid on. You want to do that, guys, because you want to make sure everything's sealed correctly. And if you don't take your bands off and you just pop it back there on your shelf, you really don't know if that happened. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. We love our salsas here in Texas. I think that you all will love your salsas as well, no matter where you're at. Again, it's a table staple here in Texas. You can go to just about any restaurant, and that's going to be part of their appetizers. Take care. God bless. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will be in touch.